All right, so we're here with Rosalie Regensberg. Rosalie's running for City Council in Ward 1. Welcome, Rosalie. We're glad to have you here today.
Thank you.
I'm Brian Martin. I'm the managing editor here at the Wyoming Tribune Eagle, and we have two of our community representatives up from the editorial board with us.
I'm Sharon Fate with Black Hills Energy.
Bob Feck, the Cheyenne Animal Shelter.
Again, welcome, Rosalie. Let's start with the first question, which is what specific issues or concerns caused you to run for the City Council this year?
Well, I've lived here in Cheyenne for 60 years, but I have been going back and forth to New Mexico because I've worked there, and part of my education I got at UNM, and I got my master's from New Mexico Highlands, right there in Las Vegas. So naturally, I got a job there, and then I found that I had to go into politics to change things. I felt that if you're in a position of power, you have more leeway. And so that's one of the main reasons that I decided to run because I write a lot of editorials. I follow up on what's going on statewide, and then I just write editorials and let the people know how I feel. I get a lot of criticism, but that's fine. That's part of the game. So I thought, well, if I'm in a position of power, maybe they'll listen to me more. It's got a little bit more push, and so that's one of the reasons. Another thing is that I saw that the mayor's office, that the mayor wasn't getting that much cooperation from the rest of the council, and I felt that maybe some way somehow I could influence the rest of the council to cooperate more with the mayor and give him more backup because after all, he can't do things by himself.
Right.
So that was another reason. And then, well, now that I've been talking to the people, because I've been out already, and that Medicaid problem is expansion is a big concern of everybody, it seems like. And I feel like the rest of the people that I have talked to that once a person gets elected to office, they get in there and then sometimes you don't see them anymore. You know, they're too involved in just going ahead and doing their job description, and then they forget that there's constituents out there that have problems, that need to be addressed or that they need to listen to them. And so I agree with them. And I feel that if every elected official in the state of Wyoming would think not only about the citizens of Cheyenne and what's affecting them, but what's affecting all the citizens throughout the state. And this Medicaid expansion is one of those issues, because not only are 20,000 people going to be affected, but also the hospitals are going to suffer. And believe you me, I've worked in the hospitals, I've worked as a teacher, I've worked as a community service interviewer, I've been a social services coordinator. And so I know how, the need out there is. Because there was even one time when a little girl, nobody wanted to give her any service because her mom had no insurance and no money. So I had to push and pull and let them know that they couldn't deny her. And so things like that, I think are very important. But I think we do, at city council, I know they have the job descriptions. I know they have the whole city to worry about. There's the streets, there's the economic development, new buildings, new businesses. They have to approve licenses, liquor licenses, and whatever. But I still think that they should, their main issue and every elected official's main issue should be the health of the citizens. That should be number one, the health, you know, because what good is it going to do us to have a beautiful city? And we do have a very beautiful city because I've seen the progress through the 60 years. I've seen the progress. And I mean, Cheyenne has grown in leaps and bounds. When we first moved here and we bought a house, the kids, my boys could play with their bikes in the backyard and they were like, it was a field. Now I can't even look out my window because I see a big apartment house. So it has grown a lot, and that's good, and it's good to concern ourselves with the growth of the city and beautifying it and everything. Another thing is that the people are complaining is that hole downtown. That hole is a big concern. And one lady even said, I think it's haunted. She said, you better, when you're out there, you better ask one of the preachers to go and pray over. And, but see, I even read one candidate, and I don't mention names, that said, well, the mayor hasn't done anything, and that hole's been there. But you can't blame the mayor, like I said, the mayor is only one person, and if he doesn't have any backup, well, he can't do anything. He's got to have the backup of the council, and he's got to have the backup of the people. Because I always said when I was teaching that it takes a whole community to educate a child. Well, it takes a whole community to get things done, you know. And so those are those are my strong points, and I feel that I'm pretty well qualified because of my experience, because I've had a very interesting life. I grew up in north in a ranch north of Santa Fe, New Mexico, and I got lost in the forest when I was 10, and my dog let me home and took care of me. And so that's why I love animals. I'm a dog lover. I'm an animal lover. And so then, before I graduated from high school, and then I joined the Marine Corps. And for a country girl, that was really something, because it was in the early '50s. I don't know if you ever read about Parris Island, South Carolina. Well, that was me. And I'd never been out of the country, and then I would get sent to Parris Island, South Carolina. So that was an experience right there. But that Marine Corps training, that really did me some good because it toughened me. And so I was able to, the rest of my life, when I met up with a tough decision, I remember, well, I can do it. And so then I got married, and we moved here to Cheyenne. The railroad brought my husband over here, and then of course he got a job at Warren, and so he stayed there until his retirement with Warren Air Force Base, which is good. And I was able to go to graduate from LCCC, and then I went on to the university. But that was hard because I had to travel to the University of Wyoming every day. I had to take care of 5 children. I kept a weekend job because my husband says, I'll work your jobs. I said, no, no, no. I said, I'll work it. I said, and I can do it. And I did it. I raised 5 kids. I went to the university, traveled every day. I maintained a B average, which I'm very proud of myself. And so I felt, well, I would be good enough, and I know I was good the 8 years that I served as county commissioner down in New Mexico, because the last 4 years I was chair, and so I was in charge. Another thing I think that's very important when you're an elected official is the budget. You know, you have to carefully review the budget, and then you have to prioritize. What is more important here. And yeah, sometimes it's important to make cuts, because sometimes you have to rub from Paul to, or from Peter to pay Paul, either one. But that's very important, that you take care of that budget, and that you keep in mind that that there are certain services that the people need, and so how they're going to do it. Right now, I know that they had to cut. They had to increase the sanitation piece. And I told the people it's necessary, because we need to have a clean city, and I've known other places that they have cut the fees, and so what happens is the people say, well, I'm not gonna pay my. Of course, here you can't get away with it, but elsewhere, I've noticed that they start dumping everywhere else, and we can't have that here. Of course, sometimes I walk through some of those alleys, and I don't know how they get away with that mess.
Rosalie, if I could ask you, what do you believe is the biggest issue that's facing the city of Cheyenne right now? And then beyond whatever you consider to be the biggest issue, can you name a couple others?
I think that now there's a little bit of a communication gap. I think that they need to, well, whoever gets in there needs to be more together, you know. And I agree that not everybody's going to, have the same opinion, and they're going to disagree, because that's part of the game. But on really important issues, I think they need to be more together. I see that as a problem. I've seen that as a problem for a while.
What other issues or challenges do you think Cheyenne
Um,
faces?
Well, you know what? Another thing that I would like to see, I saw in the paper this morning that that the robberies are increasing, and this may or may not have anything to do with it, but I know that when I was an elected official, you know what I did? I know that the city of Cheyenne has a grant writer. I know that because all the cities do. But I took it upon myself and go one step further, and I wrote grants for the kids for the summer, so that when they got out of school, they would have something to do, and that way they don't go and get in trouble. And because kids are mischievous, whether you want to believe it or not, they are, and they will get in trouble if they don't have anything else to do. You know, they'll go graffiti or whatever. But I think that needs to be done. I think that we need to start writing proposals and grants so that the kids will have something to do when they get out of school. Like take Keep America Beautiful. That was one of my favorite because the kids went around and not only did they keep it clean and pick up all the garbage that they saw, but they also planted little trees and flowers and they just beautified, keep America beautiful. So I think that needs to be done here. I have it. It might have been happening, but I haven't seen it. At least I haven't. None of the kids have told me that.
Rosalie,
So,
what's your vision for Cheyenne? You've been here a long time and you've seen a lot in Cheyenne, but what is your
uh,
vision for Cheyenne going forward?
well, I I would like to see it grow, like keep on growing. Like right now, like I say, that hole. Well, if they would put a children's museum there, that would be probably the best thing that could happen. And then people have said, well, why worry? Why only concentrate on the children? Well, you know what? In other places, I've seen that everybody can be included. For example, senior citizens, and you know that I'm already 80, but but I act like I'm not 80 yet. And that's the name of the game. It's not how old you are, but how you feel. But anyway, and I've always been real active. I'm up in the morning and going, and thank God I have really good health. Thank God. But anyhow, I think that if we would just get on the ball and do things like the Children's Museum and include everybody, you know, um, the older people could even go and story tell. They have a lot to tell, from their lives, you know. Like I know the history, like my great uncle lived in a ship wagon, and I have pictures of the ship wagon that he lived in back in 1933. And so they told me all their stories, and then I pass them on to my grandkids. And I think that would be a wonderful thing if at the Children's Museum we could have like an hour for storytelling from older people, so that way everybody would be included. And so, like I said, I've seen it grow in leaps and bounds, and I can see it growing more. Like that patio out there that they have at the depot, that's the best thing they could have done because all kinds of organizations gather there, and of course they have all kinds of doings there, and that's good. Yeah.
What do you think the community doesn't have right now that it should have? And as a council member, how would you make that happen?
If they don't have, I think they've tried to cover just about everything. Um, mm, I I think more what I want to see, and I'm not going to stop until I see it done, is when we had that flood back in the I don't remember, back in 19, what was it, 19?
85.
Yeah, 85. Yeah, when Officer Van Allen, when he drowned trying to save that little girl. I think we should. I want a statue of him. I do in front of the city and county building because that would be an example for the rest of the law enforcement. And you know how badly they portray law enforcement in other cities and towns, and so I want to see that. I want to see that before I die. Oh, and another thing, I think that the fire and rescue teams should be given more publicity or respect or more honors or something than what they are already having, because those guys are so much on the ball that within minutes they arrive. It only takes a few minutes and they're right there. And I know that one time we had an electrical fire at the house and I was asleep. And boy, they got in there, they woke me up, they gave me oxygen, you know. And one of my sons gets seizures because he had a really bad stroke. They're there like in 3 minutes. I mean, that is good time. And right away they administer to him, and they've saved I don't know how many lives. They've saved numberless lives. I think we should give them a little more, whatever. I'm not even sure if they're paid or not. But they sure do a good job. And I think that's one of the things that the city has to be very proud of, very, very proud of, before all the beauty and everything.
What do you believe, or how do you envision the future of downtown? And there's been talk about the West Edge project too, which is the western part of downtown. Do you think that's a priority?
Well, yeah, because I don't think anybody should feel left out. I think that everybody should feel like we're part of the city and we're being included in these projects, and so it would be something to be proud of, where the whole city is covered and everybody feels really good about it. Yeah, because I've seen the south side grow a lot. That Romero Park, sure, the kids really enjoy it. And they have all kinds of festivities there and everything, and that wasn't there when we first moved here. It was just grass. So I think that wherever development happens, I think it's good. I think it's good for everybody because everybody wants to feel right at home. This is my city. I want to keep it, and then that way they'll take better care of things too. And if they have a part in it and say, well, I had some input in this, and it became a reality. I think it would be nice.
You mentioned that you're a big supporter of the Children's Museum. How do you feel about taxpayer money going toward the Children's Museum, either through the seventh penny or the
Well,
sixth?
I wrote an article about it in the paper, and I got a little bit of criticism, saying, well, you didn't even donate money. But you know what? There's other ways that you can donate, like I push and pull for it when I talk to people, and I push and pull for it when I write about it. And that's my talent, that's my contribution, because I have 18 grandkids that I need to take. And they're all out for the summer. So I'm having a lot of fun.
So do you think it's appropriate for taxpayer money to go to a project like that, or should it
I
be
think so.
privately
I
funded?
think it's a very well-deserved project. It's a very well-deserved project. And I think it's something that's been long awaited. I think it's about time that we have something nice like that. Besides, it would solve the problem of that hole.
We'll be coming up pretty soon on another sixth penny ballot where we get to pick different projects.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have, what would be the projects that you might want to see on a sixth penny ballot?
Let's see, maybe, I can't think right now. I can't think, but any project that they would come up would be a big improvement, would be an improvement. And as long as it's an improvement and, and people feel good about it, I think it's okay.
Rosalie, do you have any ideas about the roads, maybe funding the roads, or what are you thinking about the issue of the potholes and the infrastructure?
Yeah, that's a big problem and everybody talks about it. But I think that they're trying to address that the best way possible, but there's so many. Like out south, I notice on South Central, you can't even drive there because and it's just one street in front of the Lamp Lounge,
Mhm.
right there in front of the dollar store. You can't even but it's hard for the city to take care of everything. They do it because last summer they did the sidewalks, and in front of our house on Tribune Avenue, and that hadn't been done in the 50 years or more that we'd lived there. So that's good. And they did the whole ARP addition. So they're trying, and so one step at a time. But yeah, I guess some of that money could go to the streets and the roads. That would be a good investment. Let me see. I have
Oh,
about,
we got a lot
You're
of
good, you
time.
got about 10 minutes. You're fine.
oh,
Can I go back to some of your early remarks about the council needs to cooperate with the mayor? Do you have a specific example where you're thinking that the mayor wanted something and the council did not support it?
I even wrote about it at one time. What was it? I tell you, I can't think.
Okay.
I can't think, but I know there was a couple of times when they didn't support him. They didn't. And then too, there have been comments. Well, it's his fault because he doesn't know how to run the city right. And I think that's a bad comment to make. Because I think he's done the best thing possible. And then what's good about the mayor is that he responds to phone calls. I know one time my dog got lost and I couldn't find him, and then he ended up at the shelter, and they charged me $195 to get him out. So I called the mayor and I said, "What's going on with these people?" You know. And so he called me back, but I went ahead. I had just got my my check, so I went and I took him out. So then by the time the mayor called me, I said, "Oh, don't worry, I already went and took him out." He said, "Oh well, I was gonna see if you could maybe work out something with him, even go clean the shelter or something." But he does, that's what I've liked about him is that he responds to calls. And then too, there's a big complaint that they don't see the elected officials out in the community too much. You know, maybe I'm different, maybe because I'm older, but I believe that you have to be seen. Like school functions, it's important that they see you at school functions. I know Mayor Schaefer when I was on the coordinator for social for the Head Start program. He would attend every single function. All I had to do was call and say, "We're having a picnic at the park, Mayor." "Oh, I'll be there," and he would take the city council along with him. The ones that would go. But I don't see that anymore. So I'd like to see more of that. More of that, the elected officials out in the community, showing the people, especially the youth and the kids, we care, you know, about what's going on.
Rosalie, can I ask you about the Belvoir Ranch? You know that the city bought it several years ago and intended to put a landfill there. There are many other possible uses, but the latest push is to have some recreational opportunity to go out and to hike and bicycle and that sort of thing. Is that an important priority to you? Do you think we should develop the Belvoir?
I think so, because the more places that the youth have to go, the better, and that way they have options. They don't always have to ride around the park. They can go there, and that's a good idea. I think a really good idea because we all need options.
And you know the city has a lot of different things that it can spend its money on. What would be priorities for you in terms of how the city spends its money or how much it should be saving?
Well, right now they gave the cops a raise and the city employees a raise. That's good. And you know why that's good? Because that gives them an incentive to do a better job. Because sometimes when they're not better paid or they feel like they're going to get laid off or something, they have, believe you me, I have this experience. They start to get lazy. Really, that's what happened with our employees. I say, oh, the budget is in trouble and maybe we're going to have layoffs. Well, you'd have them just sitting there. Well, if you're not going to pay us good, then we're not going to do a good job. So I think that's a good incentive. I think that if there's extra money, it's okay to go to races. I think because they're well deserved.
What
I
else
think-
do you think the city should spend its money on?
Mm, well, of course, we have the streets. That's a big, of course, that's always a priority. Those potholes, like I said, are horrible, and people are complaining. And and then it won't hurt to to add a few more, to beautify the parks a little more and spend a little more money on maybe parks and recreation.
The city's considering an anti-discrimination ordinance or resolution. Do you-
For lesbians and gay people. No, I objected to that
Okay.
in the paper. And the reason I objected is because, I always quote Eleanor Roosevelt when she said, nobody can make me feel inferior without my consent. And I feel, well, why do they need an ordinance? They're not inferior to anybody, they're human beings, you know? And that's why I'm against that ordinance, because I feel it's not necessary. And I've seen employees all over town that are gay or lesbian, and I don't see that anybody treats them any different. I mean, I go in there and they're nice to me, and I'm nice to them, and so, you know, like I say, everybody deserves dignity and respect. But I don't feel they need an ordinance. I've fought that before in my editorials.
Ro- go ahead.
Rosalie, I just want to go back to something you talked about. Um, if you were elected to the city council, you have the power to change things and you'll be in a position of power and that people will listen to you more. Where are you feel you're not being listened to, and what changes would you make if you had the authority?
Well, I get a lot of rebuttal to my editorials, but what I was thinking about as in the power, I have found it before that I always keep in contact with state and national elected officials, and that's very important that they know what is happening on the home front. They need to know what is happening here in Cheyenne, what's affecting the citizens, where we need the help, because a lot of times they don't know. They just read about it, but I'm out in the community, and so I know what's affecting people. And so if I was an elected official, I'd have a little bit more say so than what I have right now. Because right now, people just read my editorials and say, "Oh, that lady's crazy," or "Oh, I don't know where you're coming from," or things like that. But I know what I'm talking about, and sometimes they don't like the truth. That's the whole problem. They don't like to be told the truth. But that's okay. I still write. But that's one of the things. We need to keep in touch as a local elected official. We need to keep in touch with state and national, and we need to work with them. We need to work with them. We need to let them know this is what is affecting our people. And they help. They help. I maybe I shouldn't mention names right now, but I'm going to anyway. Take for example Senator Barrasso. He has townhouse meetings, even if they're on the phone. But he listens to people. And maybe he can't do everything that they suggest. Maybe he can't solve every problem, but at least he listens, and he does his best. And I think we all need to take his example. But we need to know him. We need to say, I know that one time this one person was, I have like one more minute or no more
You're
minutes.
fine, you're fine.
One more. One time, this young man was having trouble getting his Social Security, and to boot, he was even a veteran, and he just couldn't get it and couldn't get it. So I contacted Senator Barrasso, and he contacted the right people. Now he's got his everything he needs. He's doing okay. But without that little push, nobody paid attention to him. And I'm sorry to say that, but that's the way it works. So we need more people like that in office. But we also need local people that'll communicate with these other people, with the state and the national. I've done that in the past. I've gotten a lot of things accomplished. But then, like I say, I'm a tough Marine.
Rosalie, there's some fifth penny money and some general fund money of the cities that goes to a series of nonprofits that help some of our citizens, and that's through the United Way. Are you familiar with that at all, or
Yeah.
what do you think of that?
Well, I know that there are things like, let's say, the food pantries, that the food pantries always need help, and there's organizations like, well, I know that Community Action and the Head Start, they rely on funds from United Way. And all that is beneficial to the citizens, not only to low income. Because there's a misconception that only LASIK people need help, but that's not true. There's a lot of them that go out there and try and get a job. Either they're not qualified, they don't have the skills, but it's not because they don't try. So I think that we need to find a way to keep more people employed, some way, somehow. That's why I say writing grants for the youth, which would be a start. But we need to find ways to keep them employed. That way, there's not so many robberies and so much, crime out there. That's how I feel.
So Rosalie, as we wrap up, is there anything else that you wanted to tell us that we didn't cover in the questions that we asked you?
Mm, I think you did a really good job. I think I'm just gonna, even if I don't win, but I've told everybody after an election, nobody's a loser. Because if you get in there and you voice your opinion, and if you try, you're already a winner, you know. So that's my last say.
All right. Thank you very much for being here. We appreciate it.